Howdy folks, just got back from an auction sale this morning and I picked up this little track dumper or self-propelled wheelbarrow, whatever you want to call it. Why? I thought it was kind of cool. I've never used one before, and it went reasonably cheap, so I picked it up. Don't know anything about it at all other than they say it runs, but it doesn't steer properly or something. So it's a nice day out here, very little wind. I thought maybe we'd have a crack at it, see if we could get it going and drive it off the trailer under its own power, and we'll figure out what this steering problem's all about. Let's go. Alrighty folks, so this is what we ended up with here. Hopefully you can see that. I don't even know what language that is. I'm guessing Chinese, but I don't know for sure. I've never seen a motor like that. But anyway, they say it runs. Sakuki, that sounds Japanese or Chinese, I'm not real sure. Asian anyway. It does look like it's been well used. The tracks are a little rough on it. I wonder if that's got anything to do with why it doesn't steer very well. Excuse me. That would be my bet. But anyway, I'm going to unstrap this and see if it'll start up. Apparently it does run, and oh, look at that. It does have an electric start on it, so that's cool. Find a long cord and we'll plug it in and see if it works. Alright, I found a support. Look at it, see if that electric start. We should probably check the oil first. Just to be sure. Maybe check the gas. Doesn't look like there's hardly any ground up some fuel for it. Let's check the oil first. It's pulling that line, so it might be enough. Yeah, there's oil in it, and it don't look too dirty, so that's cool. Alright, what do you think? Is this gonna crank over? Well, I certainly wasn't expecting that. No kidding, guys, I never touched this thing. That was maybe 2 little cranks and away it went. But we're off to a good start anyway, that's cool. I wonder, the bin here is full of water, so maybe I should just dump it and see if that works. Let's maybe try that. Well, that's cool. It actually dumps. So that's cool. I think I should, I maybe should just spin this around on here and I can drive it straight off down my ramps. I think that would probably be the best bet. Take this into the shop and see what happens. Beautiful. Okay. I don't know what any of these controls do. They're not in English. I see someone here has written it in marker in English. So that's handy, but I don't know. We're just going to have to play around. I'm really not sure. I think I'll turn this with the loader tractor just so that I don't end up doing something stupid and driving off the side. Because although that would be cool for you guys to see, I don't really want to do that. That starts easy enough. I don't think we're going to need that electric start. I'm sure I can just pull that and start that pretty easy. Alright guys, as it turns out, it wasn't very heavy. I was able to spin it around by hand. So, I'm going to fire this up and try and drive it off. Now, as I was saying earlier, there is no, I kid you not, there is not a word of English on this thing at all. So, not real sure what does what. But hold on to your hats, we're going to give it a try. Alright, so give it a pull here. Alright guys, so that was actually pretty cool. It actually did work alright. The steering does not work at all. These are your steering clutches, I guess, to skid it, you know, like an excavator or a bobcat or whatever have you. As you can see, it's not English whatsoever. But anyway, as soon as you pull back on either one, it just stops moving altogether. Now, there's no load in it, so it's light enough that I could kind of pull it, steer it the way I wanted to. So that is the one thing we'll have to investigate here. Now, I do believe that it is light enough that my ATV lift in my small bay here will lift it up. But I got something on there right now, so I'll have to get that out of the way, and we're going to get it in on the lift in the shop and see what's up. Alright guys, I'm ready. I'm all cleaned out. I'm going to give it a shot and see if we can get this up on the lift and raise it up where we can have a better look at it. Alright, let's go for it. worked out pretty good, guys. I got it up on the lift. Didn't break anything. Didn't crash. I think it's relatively light. The lift was able to lift it fairly easily, so lifted it a lot quicker than the little pull tractor I had on here before, which is around 700 pounds. Lifted this up pretty quick, so I don't know what it weighs. Really not sure. But anyway, let's have a bit better wander around here and see what we got. So, if you noticed when I was bringing it off the trailer, here's your steering affair. Well, that disengages that track on that side. That disengages the track on this side so that it'll steer for you. And neither one of those is working correctly. You pull on either one of these and it completely stops moving. So I don't know exactly how they work that, if it's like a clutch like a bulldozer has or what. That cable goes way in there and pulls on something on the transmission in there. I think that I do see this track is torn on this side right here, and looks like someone attempted to fix it sort of poorly. I think I can repair that. I've done those before on like mini excavator tracks and such, so I'm not terribly concerned about that. The best way to repair that is to take it off. So I wonder if I wouldn't be better off to just peel the tracks off of this and support it so that I can run it and play around with those steering clutches and see what's what, because I'm not real sure what's going on here right at the moment. So I guess I'll have to back that out. There's your tensioner. It looks to me like it may be back as far as it wants to go. Yeah, I think so. That one's quite loose. What do you suppose the chances of that? Oh, that's almost all the way out anyway. Okay, I could probably get that off without too much trouble. I think that's what we're gonna do. I think we'll support this on some stands or something and then pull these tracks off. My bet would be that none of these bogies here have been greased at all. I would almost bet money on it. It appears that this was used for concrete, and knowing some of the concrete guys the way I do, all they think about is concrete, which makes sense because that's what they do for a living. Performing preventative maintenance is really not their forte. So anyway, let's set up to do that. Take these tracks off and we'll go from there. Back in a minute. All right, so now the jacked up and supported on jack stands. The tracks are just dangling. So I think my plan is to get these tracks off because, as I say, I got to repair this one anyway. And I think it'd be easier to have them out of the way so I can fool with those clutches, see what's going on with that, because I do not know what's going on there. So I'm sure that's going to be rather boring, and it's quite likely there's going to be an awful lot of swearing involved in getting these tracks off. And I know you guys don't mind that, but YouTube gets mad at me for doing that. So I'm just going to speed the video up and stay tuned. that wasn't too bad. I got that one side off. I decided to loosen the track right off and slip the bogies out one at a time to give you lots of slack so you can just pull it off. That seemed to be the best way, and that wasn't too bad. So I'm going to do the other side. I won't bother boring you with that because it's the same thing you just watched. And I'll come back when I got something to show you. Alrighty guys, I do believe I found the steering issue. I fired it up and I lifted the box up so I can get at it a bit better. It's really hard to see. They give you a little stilt affair here so you can lock the box up out of your road. So down in here, hopefully you can see these two yokes here. There's a cable on that one and a cable on that one over there. And then there's your two levers up there for your steering. One and one. So now if I push on the one to steer it, it pulls them both back. Now it shouldn't. It should only pull the one side. Now it pushes on a little piston right here, which goes into the transmission. So I'm guessing that opens that valve and won't provide pressure to this side. And when you push on either one of those, it moves them both, which takes them both out of gear. It doesn't take it out of gear, but it doesn't provide pressure to each side. So it just stops moving altogether. Now, I think the reason for that is there's a common pin there that they pivot on. This right here. And it appears it's all gunked up, and I'm guessing that those are seized on that pin because there's no pressure, there's no spring to pull it back. It just pulls one way and then it releases on its own. So I run into this one time on an old farm tractor where the clutch and the brake had a common pin going through them where they pivoted, and every time I pushed the clutch in, it put the brake on. So I popped the pin out and cleaned it all up and lubed it all up, and away it went. I think that's the same sort of issue we got going on here. So I think if I'm able to pop that pin out of there and clean all that up, hard to say, it may have a piece of concrete. There's bits of concrete everywhere on this thing. If I got a bit of concrete down in there, it's binding it up, it's causing both of them to pull back at the same time, which is not what you want. So I believe I'm going to try and pull that pin out. Alrighty guys, we got it out finally. It put up a bit of a fight. It didn't want to come, but that pin is all rusted up there, and it seized itself inside those yokes. It doesn't want to go in there. It's tight. There's really no no good way of. There, it's stuck now. But anyway, now you get the picture, I guess. So both of those yokes were stuck on that shaft. So if you pulled one, you pulled them both. And it was, I guess, rotating inside the aluminum ear there that mounts it. And there's really no good way of lubricating that. And it's kind of in a spot where I think it would get water dripping on it all the time, because the back of your box sits right here. You get water dripping down, or cement, or whatever you're doing with it. And it's sort of tucked in up out of the way. You can't see it, so no one would think to spray penetrating oil on it or anything like that. But it's gone far past that now. So I'm gonna take the wire wheel to that, clean that up, and get that pin fitting in there nicely, and probably put some anti-seize on it or something so that it doesn't seize up again, and we'll throw it back together. And then we'll test it out, and hopefully that problem is solved. I'm certain that that's all that was. Alright, it's looking good here now, fellas. Hopefully you can see this. Kind of hard to get some lighting in there. Well, let's try it this way. Put the light here. You can look down in there. Right at there's your yokes and your cables and the two little valves. So there's one, the other one stays put. There's the other one. And that's what it's supposed to do. So that's cool. That wasn't a huge deal. It took some doing to get the pin out, but they cleaned it all up. Threw a bit of anti-seize on the pin, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. So I say we fire this thing up and check it while it's running. See how that turns out. I'm sure we're good to go. All right, let's try it out. All right, guys, let's fire it up and try it out here. Try not to stand in the way, but what can I say? It might happen. All right, so we're in neutral now. All right, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. So, that was pretty simple. I'm happy about that. That's what you want. Something simple. All right, so all I got to do now, I think I'll repair that track, that's the one that's ripped, while it's off, because it'd be a lot easier to do. And we'll put it back together. Now, I suppose a guy could probably order new tracks for this. I don't know what they would be worth. I haven't got a clue. I don't think, being that I'm in Canada, I don't think China's mad at us yet, so I could probably still get a set of tracks for it. I don't know, maybe I'll look into that. Might be worthwhile, because the tracks are pretty rough. If anything, that's probably the thing that's the worst on this is the tracks, but I think I probably could repair that, and it's got a bit of life left in it. Anyhow, let's go ahead and get started on that. Well, I've taken the liberty here of fixing up this track a little bit. There was a tear in it right here, and the previous owner, I guess, had fixed it with some belting, which probably worked for a while. It was starting to rip apart again. Many years ago, I was a mechanic at a pretty large landscaping outfit, and I did this on a rubber track on one of their mini excavators, and it lasted for quite a long time. As a matter of fact, it was still on there when I left that job, and my guess would be that if it worked, it's probably still on there like that. These tracks are pretty worn, and they probably do need to be replaced. However, I don't plan on doing that. I think if you were going to use this every day on a job site or whatever have you, you'd probably want to replace it. But I think I'm going to leave that up to whoever owns it next. The other side is pretty worn also, but it's not torn anywhere that I could see. I also added a piece of flat bar in here and over here, which you probably can't see, but the piece of metal, I don't know, the cleat I guess you call it, that's what does the driving. That had been torn out. Because the rubber's so poor, in such poor condition now, it's ripped a couple of them out. So there's one here and one there. I added that in. That's just a potential spot where it's going to slip because the tooth can't, there's nothing for the tooth to catch anymore. So I threw 2 of those in there. Now this repair worked quite well the last time I did it years ago, so I don't see why it wouldn't work good on this. So we've nothing left here now but to reinstall this, and we'll go ahead and set you up over here and we'll get at it. Alright, so before I go ahead and throw the tracks back on, it's worth noting here that this was all full of mud and bits of concrete and whatnot. You want that to be able to move in there nice. Cleaned that up a bit and cleaned up these shreds and threw a bit of anti-seize on them so that we could move it. I'm going to do the same to the other side before I put the tracks back on because it's easier to do. Knock some of this crap out of the way. Alright here guys, so before I put the tracks in, I'm going to just show you this here because it's worth noting. On the far side here, hopefully you can see there's a little tiny piece of flat bar welded in each spot where these bogies go. And it's got 2 flats on it, which corresponds to the 2 flats on this shaft. Okay, so you got to make sure that you lock those flats in. That keeps the shaft from turning around in there. You want it to spin on the bearing, not the shaft, because if that happens, the shaft's just going to spin around on the edge there and chew it all to hell. And that's not what you want. You want the bearing to turn. You want the shaft to stay put. So I just thought I'd better show you that. I also took the liberty of, I cleaned these threads up for our tensioner. I made sure that that was free. Moves in there nice. Once you get the track on, it's a little more tricky to get that freed up. It had all kinds of mud in it and bits of concrete and whatnot. So now we should be ready to throw these rubber tracks back on and put the bogies back in. And I'm going to set you guys up over on the tripod and go to it. Alrighty folks, we're all set to go. All the bogies are back in. I got the tracks tensioned up. I don't really know what the rule of thumb is on tensioning those. I never really paid attention to that. I just kind of You know, I guess with rubber tracks, you maybe want them a bit tighter than steel ones. I don't really know what the rule of thumb is on that, and it's just sort of a trial and error thing for me. I don't like reading the manual unless I absolutely have to. Someone's liable to take my man card away if they ever found out I was doing that. But anyway, bogies are back in. I hit them all with some grease. Believe it or not, they weren't dry. They did have grease in them, but they needed a bit of fresh stuff. Anyway, I think we are ready to let this down and take it for a little cruise outside and see how she turns. Well, let's go for it. Ready? Here we go. I gotta say, I'm so impressed with how this thing starts. One pull for a Chinese motor. All right, there you have it, guys. How cool is that? It steers now, it dumps, it runs well. I think this thing's cool. I'd never ever worked on one of these before. I've never used one before. But I thought it was pretty cool, and it was going cheap at the auction because it wasn't working properly. So that's why I picked it up. So what's next for this? I'm gonna end up putting it for sale and sending it down the road. I would probably although I think it's cool and it would be cool to have one, I'd probably never ever use it. So I think it'd be better off going to someone who could use it and maybe make some money with it. I'm gonna wrap this up and send it on down the road and move on to something else. So that's gonna do it for now. We'll talk to you soon.